Good Thursday morning, everybody. Meteorologist Johnny Lively to talk about not only the rest of the week, Thursday and Friday, but the upcoming winter storm that's going to impact the southern plains and also parts of Texas, Louisiana, but really into the I-20 corridor from Dallas to East Texas, getting into southern Arkansas and northern Louisiana. And this will continue moving eastward as it progresses through the weekend. So we'll have more information on that. So let's continue to dive into the show. Currently, it's pretty much warm across our region versus what it has been the last couple of mornings. We had some patchy fog, dense fog last night, but that fog isn't too bad right now. But you can still see further to the north, it is awfully cold. -4 in Yellowstone National Park, 17 in Omaha, 32 in Oklahoma City. Even Dallas is chilly this morning at 39 degrees. But here across southeast Texas and southwest Louisiana, we are mainly into the 50s and 60s. To the north, it's in the 50s. But the closer you get to I-10 and the coast, it's already into the 60s, thanks to Do Good Credit Union. Satellite and radar, not much going on as of right now. Sponsored by Switch Electric. We have really just some clouds moving in from the west. We see all the showers and rain that we had yesterday, up to 1 to 2 inches in our region, is now into parts of Mississippi and Alabama and continues to move east. As we get into today or this afternoon, 10 to 20% coverage can be possible for a couple showers, a little stray shower or two. But other than that, we really don't start seeing the rain coverage pick up until we get into Friday, especially this weekend. This brings us to our outdoor and construction forecast for today, sponsored by Modern Concrete Material. Not a bad day at all. We start out into the 50s with some patchy fog, and then later on this afternoon, we top off into the upper 60s to low 70s. A stray shower or two is possible, just 10 to 20% coverage. Keep that in the back of your mind for anything construction-wise, but other than that, this is a pretty nice Thursday that's in store for us. One of the big headlines we're going to talk about is this weekend. We've been talking about it since Sunday, and all week long, we have a strong cold front that is moving in. Timing has kind of pushed back just a little bit, not too much, but that cold air will be moving in mainly Saturday evening into Saturday night into early Sunday morning. And what we're expecting is rain is going to continue off and on all day Saturday and pretty much half the day coming up on Sunday. Freezing rain is a possibility as we get into late Saturday for the northern regions, and then freezing rain is possible along I-10 down towards the coast as we get into Sunday morning as those freezing temperatures finally get into the region. Hard freeze is definitely likely Monday morning and Tuesday morning. Don't think we'll have a hard freeze, though, along the coast, maybe just a light freeze, but definitely could see a hard freeze at this point along I-10, especially closer to the lakes region that we call, that's closer to that Highway 90 or Highway 190. Here's our upper level flow, sponsored by Neutron Electrical Services. We're really kind of waiting for that strong cold front to move through as we get into this weekend on Saturday. You can see that cold air is far to the north, and then we have a system that's going to be sliding into California. That's what's going to bring in some more moisture, and this is going to help bring in some lift. This is going to make for a pretty wet weekend this weekend and somewhat of a pretty big mess across a large portion of Texas, Louisiana, and again, Oklahoma and Arkansas. We'll dive more into that on the snow and the ice accumulations here in a second. But as we continue going on, we'll be pretty warm throughout the day on Friday, getting close to that 70-degree mark. Majority of Saturday will start off slightly warmer, and then temperatures will kind of drop throughout the day. But still, we're in a warm pocket, a warm sector, to where we have pretty good rounds of moisture and energy coming in. So wet day coming up on Saturday. 1 to 2 inches of rain can be possible for this weekend, and then that big cold front comes through, lingering moisture still there. So Saturday evening, Saturday night, the lakes regions, our northern counties and parishes could start seeing that freezing rain potential starting. And as we get into Sunday morning, that could start into southeast Texas, southwest Louisiana, closer to the I-10 corridor. Just don't think it's enough to cause any big issues. And as we get into Monday and Tuesday, that colder air continues to sink into our region. Hard freeze is definitely likely Monday and Tuesday morning across the region, except for the coastal areas. Big story, though, is going to be the rain. Lots of rain. We've been in a drought, and we are definitely in a wet pattern, really, as we get into Friday afternoon, especially all day Saturday and majority of the day on Sunday. And then we have that next coverage kind of coming in as we get into Wednesday of next week. But we're going to be pretty cold Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. We dry out a little bit Monday and Tuesday, but lots of rain on the way this weekend. Look how large this winter storm is really kind of taken up the United States. This is a winter storm warning for already posted for Oklahoma. I mean, we're talking 10 to 15 inches for parts of Oklahoma. And then you can see an extreme cold weather warning for the areas further to the north. And then a large portion of Texas and Louisiana is in what's called a winter storm watch. In some areas of southeast Texas, especially our lakes region, like Jasper, D. Ritter, those areas are already in the winter storm watch. But Beaumont, Port Arthur, just north of Lake Charles, that's where all it is. Winter storm watch means we're just watching for the potential for some winter mix and some pretty cold temperatures. But warnings is what you don't want to see. And I don't think anybody in southeast Texas will see a winter storm warning. Look at the forecast for the snow totals. The big story is going to be really into Oklahoma and Arkansas and then continues moving eastward. But I mean, again, 5 to 15 inches of snow is possible for Oklahoma City. Getting into eastern Oklahoma, 15 to 18 inches of snow, not impossible. Even into Arkansas as well, too. Dallas-Fort Worth, 2 to 3, 4 inches of snow is possible into East Texas. But the biggest thing is when you go below that snow line, that's where the freezing rain is. So I-20 right now has the biggest setup to have some nasty, nasty weather with all the ice accumulation from East Texas, throwing out some names like Canton, Tyler, getting closer to Shreveport. This is where we'll be watching for those big potential for what could be pretty bad for the power outages, especially travel. You add in all that snow. So this is, or not snow, ice. Here we go with the futurecast. We can have 10 to 20% coverage later this morning and into the afternoon, but overall, this is a pretty dry day today. Temperatures getting into the or the upper 60s to low 70s. And then overnight tonight, everything kind of dies down. But as we get into Friday, coverage starts picking up to 30 to 40% coverage as we get into Friday afternoon. But the big thing is Friday night into Saturday, here comes the rounds of the rain. Lots of moisture moving in. Again, 1 to 2 inches is not out of the question just on Saturday alone. And another 1 to 2 inches can be possible on Sunday. Yeah, 3-4 inches, not out of the question this weekend when it's all said and done. Here we are, Saturday at 10 o'clock in the morning. Majority of our area, it's just going to be moderate to heavy rain off and on at times. As we start getting into Saturday afternoon, you can start seeing further to the north. Look at the purple and pink. That is the potential for freezing rain and sleet. By Friday or Saturday evening, we start seeing that kind of sneak into Jasper, Woodville, and Livingston, and it continues to kind of trickle down southward. We don't see this freezing rain potential really get into the I-10 corridor once we get into around sunrise on Sunday. So 4, 5, 6 a.m. is when we can start seeing the I-10 corridor having the potential for freezing rain. But still, at that point, I just don't think it's going to be enough to cause any problems along the I-10 corridor. By the time we get into Sunday around 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, the heaviest precipitation really will start moving eastward, getting into southwest Louisiana, but we'll still have that window of opportunity for some light freezing rain. And mostly going to be possibly just some cold rain. So we'll continue to keep watching this. But in other words, I just don't think this is going to be a big issue, especially along the I-10 corridor. Here is the freezing rain accumulation. We have not posted this until today. This is the first time. Winter weather forecasting is the hardest, especially along the Gulf Coast. So we have not wanted to post this data until we got closer to Thursday and Friday, closer to the event. You can see that along the I-10 corridor from Houston to Baytown to Beaumont to Lake Charles, this looks to stay under a 1/10 of an inch. Some of this is kind of wanting to get a little bit higher than. I just don't think this is going to be a problem, or we just don't think this is going to be a problem along Interstate 10. One of the things we will say, if we do get some of this freezing rain, like a 1/10 of an inch, sure, this can kind of make the roads a little slick. Let's just be cautious. Give ourselves some time. If you don't want to go out in it, don't even go out in it. Further to the north towards Highway 190, this is where we could possibly get up to a 1/4 of an inch, maybe a little bit more than that. So again, Woodville, Livingston, Jasper, Newton, D. Ritter, Buna. These are the areas we'll watch for the potential for a little bit more ice. Maybe the branches kind of get a little bit heavier, but I don't think this is going to be an issue for widespread power outages, and this shouldn't be anything that's going to really like cripple us when we're talking about travel. If anything, this could be just an inconvenience, but we should get through it. This is nothing like 1997 ice storm. This is nothing like the 2021 winter storm, and this for sure is nothing like last year's winter storm that we had. Notice the further north that you go, St. Augustine, Carthage, Shreveport, that is where the crippling ice will be a big issue along Interstate 20. That's where the big problems will lie. Here we are with the temperatures this afternoon, mainly going to be into the upper 60s to low 70s, sponsored by Silsby Ford. Again, 10 to 20% coverage is possible today, but other than that, mostly dry. Later tonight, far to the north will be into the 40s, but the rest of the region is going to be into the 50s and 60s. Patchy fog is possible overnight tonight, getting into Friday morning. Here we are as we get into Monday, the coldest morning, hard freeze for majority of the region, upper teens along Highway 190, Woodville, Jasper, and Newton. The further south that you go, you start getting closer to the Interstate 10. Low to mid 20s is definitely likely. Down towards the coast into the middle to upper 20s into the low 30s. So I just don't know how cold it's going to get just yet along the coast. I think a light freeze is definitely likely Monday and Tuesday morning for the coast. I just don't think it's a hard freeze. This data might be a little bit too cold for High Island and Sabine Pass, but hard freeze is definitely likely coming for all of I-10 and especially the further north that you go. Here we go, are looking at the whole United States, just to give you a picture of how cold it's going to be. 2 degrees in Wichita, 3 degrees in Oklahoma City, 8 degrees in Dallas-Fort Worth. Just a nightmare setting up for Dallas-Fort Worth and along Interstate 20. The more east that you go, think about all that snow, all that ice, not getting above freezing pretty much on Sunday, and look at those single-digit totals. It's going to be a nightmare up to the north. Just not going to be a big issue for our region. Just somewhat of an inconvenience, I think. 7-day forecast for southeast Texas. It seems like a lot. It sure has been, but the big story is lots of moisture and rain is on the way really this weekend, and then we're going to have that strong cold front moving in this Saturday. Some cold temperatures on the way Saturday night into Sunday morning. There is a chance we could see some freezing rain coming up all across the region Sunday morning. Just not going to be enough to cause any widespread major issues, just an inconvenience. And then hard freeze is definitely likely as we get into Monday and Tuesday morning, further to the north into the upper teens, the rest of the region into the low to mid 20s, down towards the coast, likely into the upper 20s to low 30s. Here we are for Southwest Louisiana, same thing. Got lots of rain coming in this weekend. Same time, a strong cold front's coming in. Hard freeze coming up on Monday and Tuesday. But before that, we have a window of opportunity for some freezing rain on Sunday morning, mainly across the whole region. Just don't think it's going to be enough to cause any major concerns. Just a big inconvenience, but we'll get through it. Remember last year, we were in the single digits. Yeah, that's right. So we're not going to be anywhere near as cold as we were last year, and I just don't think this is going to be anything like the 2021 or the 1997 winter storm. We're going to get through this together. Not going to be any big problems at all. It's going to be all further to the north towards Interstate I-20 pretty much. Good time to go download the free Gulf Coast Weather Solutions app, especially if you're traveling, you have friends and family traveling all over what's going on. This app is free, keeps you updated not only here locally in Southeast Texas, Southwest Louisiana, but wherever it is that you go. So please go download the app. Y'all have a wonderful Thursday. I'm sorry that this video was so long, but there's just so much to talk about and want to make sure that we kind of get the messaging out there of what we're expecting. We just don't think this is going to be a big apocalyptic thing like a lot of social media accounts are trying to show. We're just showing that this will be an inconvenience. Let's kind of take our time, drive safely. Nothing really too extreme. Hard freeze coming in Monday and Tuesday. Nothing like we saw last year getting down into the single digits, but wind chills will be pretty cold coming up on Monday. You add in the winds and those cold temperatures, we could see wind chills down into the single digits. So keep that in the back of your mind. But y'all have a good Thursday. We'll continue to have more updates throughout the day. We have a detailed post about this winter storm coming up on Facebook in about 30 minutes. So we're going to keep you guys updated. Thank y'all again. See y'all tomorrow morning.